In this video, I'm going to be talking about Soulswift by Megan Bannon. This is another book that I got through LitJoy Crate, and I just finished this book today. This book is a YA fantasy book, and I believe it's a standalone. It does not read like a series. I don't think there's going to be a continuation. It just seemed like a standalone to me. I could be wrong, or maybe she'll have a companion book out at some point, but this read as an independent standalone to me. I didn't see like how it could naturally continue. So this book follows the main character, Gelia, who is the vessel, like she's living in a cloister and she's a vessel for this religion, the Avenists. And as a vessel, she can receive messages from God, who in the Avenist is a masculine presence. So they call him like the Father God. She can receive messages and share the messages with the people, essentially. And she also can, I guess, work as a translator. They learn particular languages and cultures as part of like their job or role in the cloister. Very early on, there's sort of an arrest of this young man named Tevik, and they're going to like bring him to a trial because he sort of has broken in. I don't know what you would call it, but anyway, they're having like this tension between the two because the young man follows the goddess who is Elath. He's an Elethian, and he is trying to connect with the goddess or something. I don't know. He was looking for her, and so he's questioning the people about where she is. And meanwhile, Gelia is working as a translator for the trial. Like, she has to translate the words that he's saying and the words that they're saying to him. That's part of her role. So that's what she's doing. And so we pick up pretty quickly that there's like this overall ideological, for lack of a better word, war going on between these different groups. And so Aleth's group, they believe that she is a goddess and that she's like the mother of all, and they want to free her so that she can put the world to right again. And the Avenists, on the other hand, believe in the Father, who actually I think is often described like it's the father of death. I don't know. But anyway, the Father are saying that Elath is a demon and that she was locked away for a reason. She's been sealed because if she's let go, she will bring destruction to the world. So there's these warring ideologies, and they're finally like coming to a head, or once again coming to a head and battling one another. And so the young man, Tevik, is trying to set the goddess free. Meanwhile, the Avenists are trying to say, no, we have to destroy her or keep her bound. And in this whole action-packed scene, what ends up happening is Tevik, the young man, ends up with Gelia after some intense stuff happens. And they're going to, I think, this tree that was for this other saint, and Tevik stabs it, and somehow the soul of Elath gets put into Gelia. So her vesselhood is more than just receiving messages from the god figure. Now she is officially a vessel for this possible god or demon figure. And they have to embark on this journey to make things right. They're kind of hoping that when they reach the end of this journey, they can free Gelia of her vesselhood, that they can put Elath where she belongs, and Elath will take care of the rest. Whether or not it's that simple has yet to be determined. I actually do know because I read it, but yeah, no, it's one of those things. So this was kind of an interesting fantasy series because it is very like religion based and takes a big look at religion and ideology and whether the battles that get fought over it are really worth it, I guess, because in some ways, like, somebody gets caught on side A and some are caught on side B, but the truth is really side C. So it could be that you're right here and you're right on this side, but you're also both wrong. And that the truth is actually C, and it's more encompassing. And that's really what this story comes down to. And really, Tavik and Gelia represent that so well, because they're both so devoted to their different ideologies that when they're sort of forced together, it makes them question their belief system and whether they're wholly right or wrong, or maybe it's somewhere in the middle. And I like when that kind of thing happens. I'm actually thinking about that great scene in Attack on Titan, which if you haven't seen or read, you can go check it out. This scene occurs in season 4. It's also in the books, but I don't remember which volume. But where there's the great kind of, not a battle, but there's the great argument between the two young girls who really are both the victims of some terrible stuff that's happened. So the one feels oppressed or knows of the oppression that happened to the Marleyans years ago, and now the Marleyans are trying to attack the other forces, especially those who were descendant of the Eldians. And meanwhile, the current Eldian that she's talking to is also a victim whose mother was murdered by the Titans. And so we got one hand that's saying, but what about the horrible things that you did years ago that caused all of this bad stuff to happen? And the other one saying is, my mother didn't do anything. Why did she have to die? And they're screaming at each other. And it is exactly that. It's, if we keep seeing all of the harm that we've done to one another, where do we find that middle ground to move forward? And that's very hard. Like the fact that it's questioning that, making you question that, I find brilliant. So that this book just kind of made me think about that, like that whole question of when do we find the middle ground and advance forward as a people? I don't have the answer to that, because there are like terrible things that happen that need to be addressed. But how do you build that bridge and then move forward as a people? I like to think about it, but I don't have the solution. I don't have answers for that, but I hope one day in general that people will be able to do that on all different levels. We haven't necessarily reached that, but I love that this book made me think about that, and also reflecting in other pop culture things that deal with similar issues. I just enjoyed thinking about that. On top of that as well, the relationship between Tavik and Gelia is nice. Just seeing them go from like these two opposite sides to, you know, working together and also possibly developing feelings for one another. It's kind of a nice slow burn atmosphere, and it's enjoyable. I really liked it. It was a break from some of the other stuff I've been reading lately, which is more contemporary and romance based. But also it was a break from some of the other fantasies that I've been reading lately, which are probably more politically based and not necessarily bringing in ideology. Some of them do. I don't know. That was interesting. Yeah. So I would say that I can recommend Soulswift if you like fantasy, but you also really like things that question, you know, how to get along with one another and the whole system of ideology. I think you could really get into Soulswift. I do think it was an interesting read. It was really good. Yeah, would recommend. I would give it maybe like 4 out of 5 stars. Would recommend. And I think it has an interesting ending too, which of course I'm not going to give away because I don't like spoilers. But I do think it had an interesting ending, quite different from a lot of other books that I've read. And that's probably all she wrote for this video. Until next time, bye.